Hello Internet, this is your daily dose of data science. Today we are going to write data into a Postgres database table, and the data that we are going to work with is this data that we have been working with for the past 2 days. This data is data about Airbnb, and in the past 2 videos we have been cleaning this data. I would recommend that you go back and watch those videos that will show you how we clean this data so that you can learn more about data cleaning. But this video is totally independent of those 2 videos. I will leave the link to the videos in a card on the top right of your video. You can click on that you will see those videos that will show you how I cleaned the data. The link to the original data that is not clean is also in the description of this video, so you can get that data and clean it, then you can upload it. I have no rights of uploading this data because they are copyrighted by Kaggle, but you can always get them from there. In this video I'm just going to show you how to import this data into PostgreSDB. So I'm going to show you 2 to 3 ways. I'll show you how to import through pgadmin. Then I'm going to show you how to import through the terminal. Then we are going to write a Python script that will show you how to import data or copy data from a CSV into a table. If you don't have Postgres, you can find the installation of Postgres in also. I will also leave the link in the description on how you can install this page here. I am also using pgadmin, so I'm going to also leave pgadmin for installation. Link to this I will also leave it in the description. So I'm using pgadmin to connect to Postgres. Pgadmin is like my client that will be connecting to Postgres to work with the data. So this is pgadmin, and I have Postgres running on my computer. So the first thing that we're going to do is to create the table. I'm using YouTube. I have a database called YouTube, where I keep the tables related to the videos that I'm doing. If you want to learn more about Postgres, you can subscribe to the channel, and SQL and data science in general, because I always do data science. So a sub to the channel will be important to both you and me. So let's open a query tool. Then I am going to start writing query here, and this query will be to create a table, and this table I'm going to call it Airbnb. So I'm just going to type here something, and then I check from this side. I see if it is clear on your screen, or I need to increase the size. Command plus. So this increases the size of everything but not the text, but I hope this is clear to you. So let us create a table, and the table you're going to create here is called Airbnb. So create table Airbnb, and this table is going to have lots of columns. So the columns that we are going to use are these from here. I'm going to copy these columns, the column titles, and I paste them here. Then I'm going to separate them. I want each column to be in its row. So I'm hitting Control on my keyboard, and I want to select multiple places, put the cursor in multiple places on this text. Then I will just hit enter at once. Let me do it again. It seems my mouse has refused to do horizontal scroll, but it's fine. Enter. I'll do it in batches. enter here, 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 here. We have a horizontal scroll thingy here. I think this will be useful. Yeah, so after this we are going to add the types of this column. So this is a variable character, and I want it to have a maximum of 255 characters. I'm going to copy this, and I think this also and this needs the same character. Then cancellation policy is the same characters, room type same characters, what else? The rest are like integers and bio, same character. So I'm going to paste this, and it has added in all of this. Then the other instant bookable is a float, and calculated host listings, not float but a boolean. Based on the previous video, you can remember that these are booleans. Then the year, we made the year construction here, we made it integer. Then the rest I think are floats. So this, 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 and this is a date float, and then this one is a date, not data, date. So let's create this table here. I think I can just run it. Let me put semicolon and run this. The latitudes and the longitudes are also double precision. Let's call them floats and float. Then let's run this again. Yeah, the table is successfully created. We can try to query the table and see what's there, or we can scroll down here and I will hit refresh here, and we can see Airbnb. We can also see the columns here. Yeah, we could also query here, select star from Airbnb, and we are seeing the output. So the first thing we're going to do is to import the data using pgadmin, and when you right click here, then you go to import. It brings a dialog. This dialog, we are going to change this to import, because by default here it is export. This created lots of trouble for me because the data before was on my computer and I chose export, and I was selecting the table here and it exported empty table into the data, so I lost the data. So you need to be very careful here. You choose import, then we are going to select where that file is. We have here airbnb.csv. Then we are going to click, I'm just going to copy this. Airbnb, there is something that you're not seeing here. I'm going to pull it up, then I click select. So it is a CSV. I'm not going to choose an encoding. It has a header, the delimiter is a comma, and we are done. So I'm going to click OK, and it is saying import job created. It is copying table data public.airbnb YouTube server. Then this, it has exited with a fail code. I don't know why. Let's try to select this. Let's try again. I don't know what could be the problem, but I'm going to try to select this again, and I see so we failed to import. I'm going to check here. So I think this is the problem. This is the one that should have been the boolean, and then this is a float from the data. So we are going to drop this table and create it again. So I'm going to do drop. You should not get used to dropping tables. Drop table, this. Then after dropping it, I create it again. Then we try to import that data. So right click, go to import export, select this. I'm going to maximize here, and we're going to select this, select the encoding. No, yes, there is a header, and we need delimiter is a comma. Then click OK. Import job created, and it's successfully completed. Yeah, so the problem was the data type, because this was supposed to be the boolean, and then this is a float. It is saying completed, successful. So let me close this. Let me run this. The data is big, so let me limit it to 100. And voila, we have our data. So this is one way of importing data from a CSV into a table in Postgres SQL. So the first thing you have to do is to create the table itself, then importing the data through the UI. Then after that, you're done. So that's one way. The second way would be to import it, to copy the data from a CSV to the table on command line using PSQL. So we are going to create another table here, and we are going to call this Airbnb command line. We are not going to drop this. I'm just going to comment this out, and I'm going to leave this one. So let me run this to create Airbnb command line. So I'm going to refresh here and see we have now this table Airbnb command line. So we'll go to our command line. Can you see what's going on here? I'm going to make this big. Yep, and clear. So here we are going to write a command that will help us copy the data to Airbnb command line, and the data we are going to copy is this. So we are going to use PSQL, and then the database minus D to define the database. The database is YouTube. Remember, this database here is YouTube. Then the command that we are going to execute is a copy. So we're going to do /copy, and we are going to copy Airbnb command line. I don't want to mistype or have typos. Airbnb command line. So we are going to copy Airbnb command line, reduce the size of this a little, it is becoming too big. Airbnb command line, we are copying it from, then the path to this file. I'll need to, let me first copy this. I'll need to get the path to where this file is from. I'm going to remove this. We shall continue with this later. Clear the screen, make it smaller, then print working directory, that's our path, ls, then paste. So the path to our file will be inside this single quotes, and the path is from this to where our file exists. And I'm going to paste it here. So after that, we add the file itself, clean Airbnb. Then after adding the file, we will say with, so we're putting here the context, and we are copying where the format of the file is CSV. Another context is the file has a header, and another context is the delimiter. Delimiter is a quote. So this is the context. I hope it is clear. I'm just trying to make this. So when you look at this, we have PSQL, the database is YouTube, and then this is the command. The command is the whole of this, and in this command we are saying copy this table from the path to the file, so from this file, and the context is the format of the file is CSV, it has a header, and the delimiter is comma. So when I run this, it asks me for my password, so I'm just putting the password here. So it is saying fatal password authentication failed. I'm trying to figure out, there is something that we are missing here, so let's add the user. We never put the user, so it was assuming that the user is my computer user, so we need to have the database user. So I'm going to add the database user here, so minus user, and the user I'm having is Postgres. You can have any other user, but the user here is Postgres. So I'm going to enter this, and I'm giving the password for Postgres, and enter. So the copy is done. This is the command to copy the data from your terminal into Postgres database table. So we have PSQL, the database is YouTube, the user is Postgres. I provided the password of the user here, and then this is the command. It is copy Airbnb from the file. This is the path to the file, and then this is the context of your file, and the context of a file is a CSV, it has a header, and the delimiter is a comma. So that will copy this file into this table that we created. So we are going to just query this table, and when I run this, voila, we have our data here. So that's the way you can copy data from command line, and also the way you can copy data from pgadmin. Remember, you have the link to pgadmin and Postgres in the description. You can install if you have not installed, and you can work with this. The link to the data is the link to the original data, and you can follow with the previous videos to clean it so that it can be the same way that I have it here in the same formats. So now let's use Python to copy data. So I'll move into this file here, this folder. I already have my connection parameters, that is the user and the password of the database, into this file called connection params. I'll just import them. I'm not showing you because I don't want you to see how I write my passwords. Yeah, so let's create a file called copy data to Postgres. .py. So this file here, we're going to write code that will enable us to copy data into Postgres using Python. So we're going to use pandas, import pandas PD, and we're also going to use SQL Alchemy to create our engine. So we're going to say from SQL Alchemy, we're going to import engine, create engine. Then we need our connection parameters. From connection parameters, now I'm just going to import it. Import connection parameters as CP. So connection parameters is just a file that has two variables, my username and my password, to the database. So you could just have it in this file, but I cannot show you. So let's create engine. I'm going to reduce this so that we can see a lot of things. So let's create engine. So our engine is going to be create engine, and we are going to create an engine from this string. So we are working with Postgres QL, and it is linking to, so this link should have a user here. So I'll use my connection parameters dot user, that is the username, then colon username, and then password, and the password is also from my connection parameters cp dot password. So the username and the password that I'm talking about is the username and the password to your database that is given a read write permission. So my database is at localhost, so at localhost, and the port that of the database is the default port 5432, and the database itself is YouTube. So this will create our engine, and we're going to use pandas to write data. But before we write that data, we need to read it. So data equals to the pandas.read CSV, and we are going to read it from a certain path. So the file path is clean. It is this file here, clean Airbnb .csv. Then we don't need to do anything with the data. We need to write it to the database. So pandas gives you capability of creating the table at the same time you are writing to the database, or appending the data to an existing table in the database. So I'm going to, for the first time, I'm going to create a table and write it at the same time for a table that does not exist. So we are going to put the table name here. It's A, B, and B, but this time around I'll put underscore Python. This table does not exist. We can check here in YouTube schemas. We go to the table. We only have Airbnb, and we have Airbnb command line. We can refresh just to confirm. We only have 3 tables here. So we are going to write in this, and we need to specify our engine, and our engine is that engine. Then I'm going to print done here. Done, if it has written. So let's run this file. I'm going to run it from here, Python copy that and run it. It's done. Let's refresh these tables and we see if it has created a new table. And yeah, we can see that there is Airbnb in Python. So we can try to query it. Python limit 100, and then we run this. We have that file. So what is important now, we want to see how many records are in this table. I'm going to count star. So when I run this, we see that it is 83,019 records or rows. So we are going to add another parameter here. It's called if exists, and if exists is by default fail. So if the table exists, it should always fail. When you try to run this without if exists, you will see that the code is going to fail. It's going to throw errors because Airbnb Python exists. So we're going to pass in an argument to this, and to say if exists, we are going to append. We could replace if it exists for overwriting tables in Python. So you may find that you want today to have only data about today, benchmarks for today, or for tomorrow you only want to have benchmarks for tomorrow. Then you'll say if it exists, replace that table. But if you want to have data that is incremental for your ETLs, mostly you'll have to append. So we are going to append this data here, append. Then we're going to run that command again. It's done. So at first we had 83,019. This time around we expect 166,036. So when you run this, 166,038, I mean. Yeah, so we can try to do a replace, and we see if we can go back to what we had. So when I run this, back to that. Yeah, so this is what I wanted to show you today as a dose of data science. Please don't forget to subscribe, share the video with someone who you think may need it. Until tomorrow, learn something, teach someone. Bye.